Welcome to our market review and analysis. It's Wednesday evening after the market close. We didn't do a session for Monday and Tuesday, so I'll try and incorporate some of the content in this one. Broadly speaking, as you know, the market currently is being whipped by the political and financial issues of Cyprus and other events like in Italy and so forth, and also to some extent the financial statements of many of the like the earnings statement for many of the US companies for the first quarter of this year is also currently being released, and hence we have an additional volatility in the equity market, and that too also impacts on the currency market too. So let's get on with our initial chart. We look at the Dow Jones Industrial 30. From our last discussion, you know that we are currently moving in a 5-waver. So for example, after having moved into this, what I think is the wave A and wave B of the 2009 low, then we had a wave C, so we've got a double zigzag to call it a wave A. Then we had a wave B retracement, and subsequently we're doing another double zigzag possibly, and in that we've got a minor A, minor B, and we're doing C, and C would have 5 waves altogether. So the C started from June 2012, appeared to have done wave 1, wave 2, now the wave 3 is complete, within which we've got minor 1, minor 2, minor 3, minor 4 and minor 5. So that wave 3 is complete, so we should now do ABC retracement, and we could drop back to 14,200, which was apparently the low in 2007. So potentially the logic would be is that we've broken out above that level, so now on the retracement we would test that as a support, or we might drop a little bit further into maybe something like 14,000. So 14,000 to 40,002, we should have an ABC retracement. If you look at daily, I think we've got minor 1, minor 2, minor 3, 4 and possibly 5 coming up, so that probably like a small wave A probably done, maybe retracement, and in order to complete this we do need a further downside. We'll have a then retracement, another leg down. So we are currently still in the first leg, and that's not completed yet on a daily chart. So if this is to pan out, then maybe we would have several days of market maybe chopping and declining, then retracing and another further declining, meaning that maybe this retracement could be longer than any of them we've had here along the way during this particular cycle. It would probably be more of similarity to this magnitude here. So if you look at this one, it lasted for nearly a month. So it's possible that the market could do something similar. Certainly lasted for a few weeks, in forming this wave A, then a retracement, another wave. Now schematically drawing this on the chart, it appears fairly clean, but over here you note it was not as clean as you could see here. We've had like an ABC zigzag. So maybe this one here was like starting from there, so go A, B and C retracement, then another leg down. So we'll see something similar like that, or it's possible for this to be possibly like a triangle, because that happens a lot in a wave 4, or we could get choppy sideways movement. Might not drop down too far, but maybe just continue chopping sideways until it finished its correction, and then it would continue higher. So we're expecting another leg higher after that. So for the time being, really for the market, we're sideways to bearish on the equity market. and earnings season still continue till end of the month. So I think to some extent maybe this week and the next 2 weeks may well be influenced by a lot of the financial earnings results being published by US companies. And oil appear to be leading the equities at the moment. This is the weekly chart, and we've been now declining for almost 3 weeks, and we have declined quite strongly. Now it looks very obvious that we may well be declining to meet this sort of a short-term trend line which connects this low here back in October, and then this subsequently slightly higher low back in June of 2012. The previous one was October 2011, and we're coming back into that, and that may well complete this what we think is a triangle. So if we complete that at the level around about 80, and then by that time I think most likely the equity will have finished correcting too, and maybe then we'll be looking for an intermediate bottom with a view of then pushing further up in the oil and similarly in the equities. So equities and oil both point to sideways to negative or to downside bias, and there isn't a great deduction to make from the dollar index, because commonly we found that the equities and oil go together, but then dollar index has a negative correlation. However, since February they've both moved together, and it's only now either they are trying to change course to go back into normal relationship, because during the month of February they both went together and they come down together. So we should now break away from that relationship fairly soon, if it hasn't done so already. So you can see on a 4-hour chart that we've had here what appears to be fairly complicated move, and this portion, at least anyway, appears quite choppy. So is it a correction of this last move, or is it a new downtrend? Now at the moment this first drop is quite impulsive. This last drop appears to be quite impulsive, and whilst it is not very clear, I think we've got a crude looking falling wedge, and I'm of the opinion that if that crude looking falling wedge is potentially a leading diagonal, then at least it could be either a wave A or wave 1. If so, then we should go up and retrace in ABC format, like a two-step format. And we've had a wave 1 up, or rather wave A up, and we should see a small drop and another leg higher, and possibly that will give us A, B and C, where we will finish that as a wave 2 if indeed this one was a leading diagonal and this is wave 1, or we'll finish it with A, B and C coming down, or 1, 2 and 3 coming down. So either way, at the moment we are bouncing and retracing some of the decline of dollar index, and then once that's over in this ABC zigzag form, we should see a resumption of the downtrend, which would at least be as long as this, or maybe even longer. So the dollar index is probably got a slight upside, or otherwise broadly sideways. Then once that's over, we would look for a downward trend to resume. So contrasting that with the equities got relatively distinct down move, and in that time it would appear that the dollar index is trying to move up. So maybe they have already snapped back into their usual relationship, which is negatively correlated. Time will tell. So that's as far as we'll go with the equities and oil, both pointing down over the next couple of weeks, and during the same time the dollar index could push a little bit higher, to maybe sideways as it retraces the drop. Then it will continue to the downside is what our expectation is. So let's start off with the currency pairs we were supposed to be looking at, and that is a British pound pair. So in the pound pair here we have Euro USD, and you can see in a Euro USD I was expecting another leg down. That hasn't happened, but if we look at this here, I am not convinced that this is actually a new uptrend, because you can see it's still in a parallel, and it's relatively speaking quite choppy. So my feeling is that we could very well see another leg lower, like so. But then you can see from here we may have wave, I said wave A and wave B, we may have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, in which case we'll do ABC retracement and then subsequently another leg lower. So in that case we could have a lot of sideways choppy movement for Euro pound. And that would suggest that they will both be relatively neutral. In order for them to do this, there will be time when Euro is stronger than pound and pound stronger than Euro, but broadly speaking over the course of that period we're expecting them probably to move sideways as it completes this wave 4. Previously we had said that this one is ABC retracement wave 4 done, and this should be new upside, but at the moment it appears it's not really very impulsive, which we should expect, but it's a lot of overlapping choppy move. So it remains to be seen whether in fact that's the beginning of a new leg to the upside, or are we nearly finished. My perception is that we are still doing this possibly where I put A, that may well have to change to maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, in which case we see ABC retracement and another leg lower. So Euro pound will probably be sideways congested for a while. Pound Swissy has fallen quite sharply. Again, waves are not very clear to label, but if you were to say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, so if you just concern yourself with this 5-wave move to the downside here, then this here could well be sideways in the sense of wave A, wave B and wave C, and this C possibly being in the form of some sort of a triangle. So we've got wave 1, ABC, wave 1, so it could be A, could be B and could be C, and we are now jumping back up, or it simply could be wave 1, then A, like an expanded flat wave A, B and C. Then we got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, so we could be developing a new 5-wave move to the downside, but the choppiness of the move is a little bit puzzling in a sense of whether that is in fact what we just thought is A, B and C. In fact, then we'd see another leg to the upside for pound Swissy. Okay, so we look at pound CAD. Pound CAD, you can see, appears to have definitely formed a low, and we had this little triangle, so that means this, what comes out of the triangle is the last leg up. So potentially we could be looking at this one here as a wave 1, wave 2, and this possibly for wave 3, in which case this one is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So then that could be 5-wave up. We'll see a retracement, and really on that retracement is when we look to get long, if we are indeed trying to trade this one to the long side. we've been expecting this entry for some time, and as we said last time, the first entry was in this area because of a triangle and forming to break out of that. So potentially that would have been wave A, wave B, and wave C. And wave C has got a 5 wave. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if this was wave A, or 1 rather, this was 2, then we've probably done wave 1 of 3. This is probably going to be wave 3, and in that we've done wave 1. So if that's the case, then we are expecting again a retracement and then continuing to the upside. So ideally, if we put a Fibonacci on this one now, like so, and put in default, so ideally we'll get something like a 50% retracement or 38%. So 155.50 say to 155 is possible area of a bottom when we could consider entering long on a pound CAD, and the target immediately we're looking for is probably back toward this top end of this leg down on previous congestion area to maybe around 160 or so. Intermediate target could go higher, but we will develop a brand new uptrend. Once we have that low in place, we'd be able to then perhaps consider some sort of trend line or trend channel to help guide us to the upside. Okay, so pound CAD potential long entry on completion of the retracement here. If we look at pound New Zealand, then that too appear to have put a bottom in, and we may well have moved up in a 5 wave to the upside as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we do an ABC retracement back toward the downside. So again, potentially long entry around 179.50, or if you get a little bit lower leg to maybe something like 179, that would be an excellent area for entering long on pound New Zealand. And you can see this last leg coming down is probably finished here in a sense of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like an expanding triangle, and this may well be the new leg to the upside. If so, then the first one is an impulsive ABC retracement, is an overlapping. We should be expecting a low in that area for going long. So as we said, the low around 179.50 area. That's pound Aussie, exactly the same. We're waiting for retracement on that one, and ideally if we can get an entry in the region of 146.50, that would be again an excellent entry for potential long. And pound yen, well, the pound yen I think seemed to have topped with this potential rising wedge pattern, and then we've had we're probably doing wave B, and we should be now doing a wave C to the downside if this is indeed a ABC triangle. But overall we appear to have completed this wave 5, as you can see. So it's 1, 2, all of this 3, this triangle 4, and this is 5. So in which case we should see basically an ABC retracement back toward this area, which is, in terms of the level we're looking at, is 137.75, or maybe a bit higher up at 140. Is where we would expect this retracement to come. So if we look at just this area here, then whilst it's not very clear, I'd suspect that we've probably got small 1, small 2, and maybe this somehow wave 3. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to here. Then this is wave 1, wave 2. This is 3. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sort of thing. In which case this is 4, and we're moving down 5, or somehow this completes a cycle, and we've now gone ABC retracement. We should be now basically moving back down. So broadly speaking, most of the yen pairs should be weakening against yen over the next few weeks to form a higher low on a larger time frame from where to consider going long to the upside. And so that's a pound yen. And we'll quickly look at the euro pairs. So euro pair, the first one is we've done a euro pound. This is the euro CAD, and on a euro CAD we've been expecting a possible retracement back toward this sort of area where we will be looking to go long. So far we have remained in the, well, we've just broken out of the declining trend channel. We should expect now sort of an ABC retracement to the downside, when potentially we could consider entering long. So in terms of the level, we're looking at possibly the retracement of that somewhere in the region of 131 to maybe 130.50 if you round it up, 131 to 131.50, and potentially from our previous explanation, if this was wave 1 in bracket, this one 2 in bracket, then we're currently in wave 3, of which we've done minor, or wave 1 in Roman 1 in parenthesis, Roman numeral 2 in parenthesis, and we should really be moving up strongly to the upside in wave 3. But we've not got a clear count on this pair of the low. We could probably somehow make and say this is 1, 2, 3, or is this to be read something differently, because it's not very clear. And most of the wave counts in the last few trading sessions or maybe a week has been a little bit unclear, but we are expecting a low. So really from here we should be looking for an evidence of this being a new uptrend. And I think if we find we might even get this like a rising wedge as a possibility, like so, before declining. Otherwise a little bit puzzle as to the wave count. So Euro CAD, I'd say probably nothing yet. We'll wait until if this is going to go up there and then come down, like so. So Euro CAD not a completely clear picture. However, we are expecting that to form a higher low. See, we might come back and probably test that possibly before going higher. So if we can enter at an acceptable risk, then potentially we can enter long, certainly on the next retracement once it's completed whatever move is doing here, if it is a rising wedge. If it's not, then we will see this market decline further and probably shows that it is doing something different. Euro CAD, Euro New Zealand is what we were looking for. So after bottoming here, it appears it's gone up in a 5 wave. So it's wave 1, wave 2, then we go 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 is wave 3, retracement 4, and then finally 5 here. So maybe 5 wave cycle we should see ABC retracement. So we've already probably looks like done wave A. This one will go up a little bit and then small decline before we're ready to start moving to the upside. So ideally, if you want to long this one, Euro New Zealand, look for it to drop down to 153.50 area as a round figure, and that's where we go long. The long-term potential for this trade would be to go back and retest this historical high we had here over a couple of years, so in the region of 162 before heading higher and then probably bumping into this level, which is 169, call it 170, where potentially we may have a need to consider maybe securing the funds either by switching into cash or something similar. So in the meantime, we could be looking for entering long entry around 153.50 area. And potentially sort of developing complex head and shoulder pattern probably. So remains to be seen if we can get a momentum to the upside. It's Euro Oz, Euro CAD, Euro Swissy. Euro Swissy, you can see it moved up a little bit, is dropping back down. What we're expecting is for it to drop to this sort of level here, which is the 121 approximately, and we could be completing this minor wedge formation with a view of Euro Swissy then heading to the upside. Okay, so that's the Euro pairs done, and then normally today we would be looking at yen pairs. So if you look at a quick look at the yen pairs, so the yen pairs finished and formed the top of what I think is the wave 3 in bracket. Then we should be getting wave A, wave B and wave C. So it looks like we've done wave A and an A, B, C, and currently we're doing A, B, C back up for a wave B. Then we should, once it's complete, should be able to get a fairly strong move to the downside, relatively speaking, to form this wave 4 in bracket. So potentially we could consider going long, but only after this second leg down, when it gets into the lower region here, for possible long entry. Euro yen, much the same, still looking for quite a noticeable retracement. CAD yen, which we just looked at, we've dropped down ABC, we're returning back, and then we need another return, like in an impulse five waves, but a second leg. So first leg almost looks like it's done, and we're retracing that to the upside, and on completion we will then probably come back and commence with the second leg. So Euro, pound we looked at. Swiss yen, not much to say other than is following the same pattern as the Euro USD, is currently stagnating, and we could see another leg down in here also. So you go 4 and 5, and then you get ABC retracement, so probably then back to 98 or so. Aussie yen, well, Aussie yen still in an uptrend and probably somewhere to go, but currently retracing. New Zealand yen, same as other policy we looked at, where potentially this year looks like wave A currently retracing for wave B, and we should head lower. So we could potentially think that it's going to go up a little bit, like so, go up a little bit, then another leg down, and we will then be ready for further upside. That's Swiss yen, and we looked at pound yen. Pound yen, we briefly looked at it in the sense that this is top. We're doing ABC retracement, meaning there should be further downside forward retracement before ready to move to the upside. New Zealand yen is similar to the Aussie yen we looked at, still looking for potential sideways to downside move. So those are the basic pairs we were looking for. The euro with New Zealand and Aussie, and likewise pound with New Zealand and Aussie, are good trades. We just need to be patient. We'll need to wait for the low to be formed before we go long on those. Then we look at the dollar index in a bit more detail. Is, as I've just explained, that we've got potentially very unclear but very messy falling wedge, in which case this could be wave 1, this could be 2, or wave A and B, as you know. So then the downside we're looking for is, if that conforms, then we're looking for retest of last year's low for sure, and maybe perhaps even lower. So that's dollar index. Looking at Canadian dollar, US dollar with Canadian dollar, then you can see it sort of come up very strongly as wave 1 maybe. This is wave 2 and either wave 3 is finished or is in a process of completion, but you can see that it gives me an appearance of possible rising wedge pattern formation. If you look at the RSI, RSI has, this is very steep, so if we ignore that middle bottom, then maybe we've got a little bit more reliable possible triangle, and that would be wave B. So we've got it down here as wave A, B, C, wave 4 rather. We're starting off in a wave 5, in which case we may have like a wave 5 here, then drop back, and some further questions regarding how far it comes. And what it has formed is more like, as it is better looking like 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5 the final leg, and probably take us to 1.03 area before looking for potential move to the downside. So as dollar CAD, so it's upside for the dollar still there. Some currencies will be more than others. Then this is the pound pair, and with the pound pair I am somewhat perplexed at the fact that we've got this as 1, A, B, C as 2 quite clear, but then subsequently of the low it hasn't been very clear, and we don't know really whether this one should be labeled as some kind of a triangle at the top, something in that kind of order, but it's difficult to tell. So we need some clarity before we know which way we're going. My bias at the moment is that we're still going to be going up, and what this might look like is wave 1. Then we got ABC as a larger degree wave A, ABC back as a wave B, and we are now coming down wave C. Should that be the case, then quite possible we should see further sell-off in pound dollar. So we'll get 1, 2, 3 small retracement for 4, then finally for 5 before we are ready for this move to the upside. So then we have wave 1, as wave A, wave B and wave C. Or it could be wave 1, then you got wave A, then you got A, B and C. So if that's the case, then pound could resume quite strongly to the upside. or we could have situation this is 1, this is wave A, this is wave B, and we have some more downside. So that's what I mean, that they have been a bit unclear. So we have to wait and see just exactly what kind of a retracement pattern we do get. It might even be like this, where we got wave 1, A, B and C down as a wave 2, and then moving up strongly in wave 3. So it's pound dollar, and then finally we're looking at the Euro USD. So in the Euro USD, much like the pound dollar, or rather the dollar index, I think this count initially has been difficult. But you can see I've labeled them as wave 1, wave 2, and then all of this is 3 with 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then we go retracement 4, and I was the impression that this was wave 5, but maybe what we have here is this is wave 3, this is 4, and that is 5. See, otherwise this one could be wave 3, then we got A, B and C to form a larger wave A, larger wave B. We're coming down in C, which can probably go 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 and 5, or maybe 1, 2, 3, currently congesting into a triangle. And therefore the bias will remain to the downside for Euro USD, in a sense that we will probably try and retrace this. We've still got one more leg down. Like so. Different labels, but maybe perhaps wave 3 topped here instead of there, or this is 3, 4 and 5. Then we got wave A up to here, A, B and C is wave A. Then possibly we got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 possibly. And again on the downside, the impulsive is the 1, 2, possibly 3, bracket 4, and then drop below. Like so. So that is a Euro USD. So in the main we seem to have completed most of these. Also there has been a shocker on the okay, we'll follow here. This is the chart for gold. data don't go far enough, but approximately 50% retracement of 2008 low to this high comes in down one, say 12, $12.90. So 12.30 to 12.90 is now more or less a given target. We had previously a target in this area that's been taken out, this one here, so we expect another leg down, and you can just about make it in this area. It's sort of a triangle, and in that case, if it is a triangle, then it should break to the downside, and then it'll bounce again, something like that, and that's when we're ready to maybe consider a short position. Otherwise, wait for all of this to play out, find a potential low in this area, then look to go long. So that is all currently we're looking at, and hope to see you again tomorrow being Thursday. We'll go through the Canadian pairs. Some we looked at already, but we'll look at that in a bit more detail, and any other things that we need to clarify or go over, please feel free to let me know.